All right, welcome back to the K-Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. It's been a couple weeks. Tonight we've got me, Berg, Narwhals, Hunter, and Jai. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good.
Going pretty well. Ready to talk some football.
Oh yeah, great first week of football. So much happened, good and bad. The bad being
Narwhals and I have
injuries.
to squash some beef.
Oh yeah. Should we jump right into it? Jump into the Guillotine recap?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, it was a crazy week. I felt like I had the high chance of losing, and it turned out that I did. Came down right to the wire. I think at one point there was a poll created. I had like 6 votes that I was going to pick me to lose. But then Kev, he had like 20 points. None of his players had really played, and they just laid some eggs right there at the end there. But Diggs almost clutched for him. It was so intense.
The biggest shame was Kelp. Kelp not getting next. I think he was pretty close.
Yeah, it was actually at one point, there's a lot of players kind of like averaging like 50, 60. But then like C-Nels got like an Akers touchdown, and Kalai got a touchdown. Like some people got safe, and it just came down to me and Kev. And a really good Jets-Bills game. Outside of Aaron Rodgers getting hurt, that really sucked. How'd you guys feel about the week 1 of Guillotine?
I think it's cool. I think it's so fun the way that it works. Like you might feel like you're in a comfortable position for a little while, and then all of a sudden, none of your players are scoring for a little bit, and then 5-6 guys score a touchdown. Like in the afternoon games or something, and then all of a sudden teams are flying past you, and you're like, oh man, like this could end very poorly very quickly. I thought that was pretty neat. And then it's kind of cool once you, like, I got to a point, luckily, this week where I just felt comfortable and I could just enjoy watching football. But I'm sitting there watching all the other guys, I'm watching Berg and, like, stressing for other people too, because no one wants other people to really get axed. Truly, like, I don't want to watch other people, like, drop from the league. Like, kind of sucks.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
So sitting there stressing and like who's gonna lose it, and it's more intense than your home league or redraft, and really even dynasty, because it's matchup based, and you might see a matchup and all the matchups are done by Monday night or even Sunday night, and there might be one out there, whereas here there might still be like 4 players that are left in contention to be cut, and everyone's kind of sitting on the edge of their seat. And I love that aspect of it.
Yeah, and it really came down to the wire, like the final minutes of the Monday night game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like, fantasy in general is stressful when it comes down to the wire, but the Guillotine adds quite a bit to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like John was saying, you're kind of outside looking in.
Yeah, that's by far the most intense like game I've watched, just because of fantasy implication.
Yeah. Plus, like you're thinking, who's gonna lose? What player do I want?
Yeah. It felt like a championship week. It's like
it really did. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it, because it's like a championship week every single week.
Yeah, especially when you're on the line. If you're one of the bottom ones,
it's like really is.
It's like championship week. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Lots of sweating. No, I think it's great, and I really do think that nobody knows what they are doing. We'll get into the whole economy of it here pretty soon, but sorry, Jai, what were you gonna say?
Oh, it was fun to see Sunday night and going into Monday. Oh, it's like, there's 5 teams here that could possibly lose with so many players in the league, an 18-team league. week 1 was pretty exciting, I thought. I mean, I thought I was looking pretty bleak Sunday morning with Kelsey being gone, my 102.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah,
regretting that when he got hurt. I was like, you gotta be kidding.
Yeah, I definitely think it's huge that you got through the week without Kelsey. And then, John, didn't you say in your other league that you got through the week without Kelsey?
Yeah, I was actually just about to say that because
That is huge.
that's where I took him. I took him 102 as well, and you get that news on Tuesday, and you're like, "There's no way he's gonna make it." You know, by Thursday, like they're not gonna risk that and play him. And so I ended up playing Jake Ferguson, which the Cowboys didn't need to score any points, so he did hardly anything for. I mean, granted, tight ends really did hardly anything all week. So that was kind of the good aspect of losing Kelsey for week 1 was the fact that like in that like onesie position, right? Like you're not losing too much. Like we didn't lose too much by losing Kelsey this week because no tight end did well. So it was, I mean, when Hunter Henry and Hayden Hurst are your top 2 tight ends on the week, like you're probably sitting pretty not having your top guy that week. Um,
Yeah.
For me, I think that actually helps moving forward a little bit. Like, sure, I didn't have Kelsey this week, but looking at the tight end and how lackluster it is across the league, knowing that I'm going to get him back either this week or next week, like that's huge. In that other league, so I'm sure Jair probably feeling similar there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So that's why I spent up on TJ Hawkinson, because that tight end, I don't know. Tight end position is so valuable. It's looking bleak right now. I just think paying up is good. I will say, there's 2 sides to the argument, and I do agree with your argument, Narwhals. That maybe it was a bit too much, but sometimes with Fab, I feel like you kind of get inside, like when you really like a player, you kind of get inside your own head, and it's like, okay, someone else is gonna want this player. I need to bid up. So I did bid a little too much, I'd say.
Yeah, I was hoping to get him. I had the second most fab at 314. I didn't want to go like crazy high. Well, I was gonna I was gonna be happy if I got him for 314, because he'd go right in the tight end slot or flex. I think he'll be great all year with the targets he's getting.
Yeah, those 9 targets were nice. And telling for sure. And I think with, like, if we're talking about like fab value, I think like spending fab on a tight end is way more valuable than spending fab on like a running back or something. Like it's just, it's such a valuable position. Like last couple years, some of the championships I've seen / won, lots of Kelseys, just having that tight end advantage is.
Where do you rank Hawkinson among all the tight ends? Like top 3 or
I
think
think
third or what? Second or third?
3.
Yeah.
I think he's 3. I think it still goes Kelsey. Maybe in a guillotine, he's like top 2, because Kelsey might not play next week. Like Andrews, hit or miss. I'd say number 2 and get in a guillotine.
Yeah, because at least he's healthy for now. Hopefully he stays that way the whole year.
Yeah. And to speak to your tight end stat, there was a stat I read a few years ago that 50% of like standard leagues, the champion will have a top 3 tight end half the time. So just having that top 3 tight end, well, it's like, 50% in that group of maybe getting into the championship for a standard league. Just because there's such a scarcity with tight end. That's why I picked Kelsey at 102, because he was, I think, the distance between the first and second leading tight end last year, there was just as big of a gap between 1 and 2 as there was between 2 and 22. I think he scored like over 100 more points between him and whoever number 2 was. Unfortunately, he's starting the year hurt, but yeah, I agree with the tight end scarcity and that value and paying up for one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will eat crow and say that I overpaid, but I think the logic was there slightly. You know, it's just we're finding out how to.
Yeah, because the thing is, we're so early in the season. There's so many good players that are gonna hit the waivers, and now you don't have the capital to get them.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
and that's kind of my.
I'm looking at your roster, and you have like Pacheco on the RB. It's like you're not gonna win the league with Pacheco in your slot, probably not. I don't know.
Probably not. Yeah.
And you've got like
No, I'm
Brandon,
just trying to survive.
you've got Brandon Cooks, Taiji Spears. You got some weaker players that like. It's not like a league-winning roster.
Yeah, and I think too, like I'd rather like overpay on a player I like than like just sit on my 1,000 with, you know, like you said, a weak roster, and I agree with that. Then,
but I mean, if this move like it floated to like 10th or 9th place, there's less players to bid against. You could get more players, so it may still pan out in your favor. So
yeah, I'm kind of just testing the waters for this Guillotine league this year, but no, I definitely agree with like Narwhal's points as well, as far as that was a little bit of a
whereas like my team's in shambles. Like I don't have Cooper Kupp, I lost Deontay Johnson, I lost J.K. Dobbins, so I just bid pretty high on all the players. I was hoping to get Diggs. I would have been happy at like $700 just because I'm so desperate, but I was not expecting $1,000 from Zach Daddy.
Yeah, I
think pretty wild.
Stone was gonna do it.
I can't compete with that.
Yeah. Plus,
I think that was kind of part of my shock value too, was just the fact that, you know, I look at it, you know, and there's already $1,000 just gone, and I was like, oh man, that's just because, and I guess like I understand the argument of paying up to get a guy you want, and I get that. Because especially in a league like this, you know, especially with Fab, you've got to pay up for the guys that you want. I just kind of look at it going, you know, we got at least 16 more weeks if you want to win the championship, and at least 13 more weeks of Fab and of waiver wire, and to kind of limit yourself an ability to get anything afterward. Like worst case scenario, Hawkinson gets hurt or Diggs gets hurt, and now that one guy, like that elite guy that you were hoping to kind of carry you through several weeks, is no longer there, and you don't have the capital to go after that either. So, because realistically, no matter who gets cut, there's going to be at least one player that is going to be a top 20 player at their position, at least, just from draft capital. And so, you know, thinking about week 3, week 4, week 5, when, you know, hopefully you're there, right? But like once you're there, now you're looking at some teams that maybe built up some capital. Like if Zach Daddy doesn't make it through week 3, now Stephon Diggs is back out there again. And I didn't spend all my fab at the beginning of the year. Now I've saved up a little bit for a couple weeks, and now do I have the opportunity to outbid people without having to spend in a crazy amount because other people don't have the same fab as I do. So, not that I love my team and I think my team's like a barn burner and gonna be able to cruise through 5, 6, 7 weeks, but I think it's decent enough to get me to a point where, you know, I don't have to spend a bunch of fab right away. So yeah. I don't know. It's all like you're saying.
I think that's a good way to
trying
play
it out. It's the first year doing it. It's tough. I mean, like with Berg, I get it because you're on the chopping block last week. Like you got to do something. For me, like I felt comfortable enough with my team and my points that like, okay, even if a couple of the guys lay an egg, I should be all right with Herbert and Eckler in there, and
Yeah.
now of course Eckler's dealing with the ankle injury, but
You should be able to hold for a week or two and then pick up some players. Probably that's probably smart.
yeah.
It could bite you, but it's
I think
it's a good strat. Yeah.
It also depends who's there, right? Like I like Stephon Diggs. I think he's good. I think he's easily Josh Allen's number one. He's going to get fed targets. Um, but do I like him as much as if Justin Jefferson's there one week or Jamar Chase has another kind of egg and he's available in a couple weeks? Like, you know, um,
Can I say something?
I don't know.
Yep.
Stuff.
Yeah. What other players do you guys think will go for 1,000?
Yeah, probably the JJs and
I don't-
Jamar
Tyreek
Chase.
Hill, Jamar Chase.
I think this is the only
Tyreek.
$1,000 bid the whole season. I don't think there'll be another 1,000.
I think so
You don't
too.
think so? I think there'll easily be more
I
$1,000
think so too.
bids.
What
Easily.
I want to see happen is next week, someone with $1,000 in their pocket just gets deleted.
Yeah, once that
Yeah.
happens, I mean, and plus Diggs has already gone for 1,000. I think the market's been kind of set.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
one player. I don't think
That's
the
fair.
rest of the league kind of operates in the same way. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
There were a lot of high bids for him.
No, well, not the 1,000. Only $1,000 bid. I don't know.
There's a lot of over 50% bids though.
Yeah, but we're talking about $1,000.
There were.
But I
I'm-
just
I'm-
mean, you go ahead.
I think it's the only $1,000 one that we'll see.
Yeah.
Because I think, and kind of led by me, but the backlash was pretty strong, and I could easily see the conversation continuing, kind of like what we're doing right now, just going back and forth about like, hey, is it really worth spending all this fab to get a guy when you're kind of screwing yourself for the rest of the week or rest of the season? But then again, if next week Justin Jefferson's there, I could easily see someone dropping 1,000 on him. So I don't know.
Yeah, because I think at the end of the season, the winning roster will have a stud at every position. So if you bet 1,000 at one position, you're gonna have a holy team, right? A lot of holes.
One thing you also have to take into consideration is like as the year goes on, our rosters stay the same. There will be far more players on waivers because not everyone can roster these players. Waivers will become richer.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it's like your fab, you can use it to block other people from getting the best players, but they can still get a pretty startable lineup late in the year with no fab.
Yeah. I mean, there's a world where, we lose $1,000 whale next week, the week after that,
Economy's going to be hurting.
I am hoping just some random team loses this week, not me. Just like someone we're not even expecting, just some random team.
Yeah,
Mix up with
it's like that's why I kind of like put a little bit of money out there, because like if you're, you could have the strategy down, but if you're losing bets every single week, you're done.
Yeah, because I mean, anything can happen any given week. Your team could just lay a turd. It just happens.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like you look at some Diggs, like 14 people bid on him, right? Like it's not like nobody was trying to go after him. It was just a matter of the idea of, okay, how much is too much? I did 208, and
I think I did
I was even
850
sitting
on
there.
Diggs.
I'm surprised 3 people didn't bid on him. Who were the 3 who didn't bid on Diggs? I wonder.
I didn't bid on him.
Looks like
I wasn't gonna win him because I already spent part of my budget on Noah Gray.
Well,
$10.
right.
So Narwhals, can I ask
And
you a
Connor
question?
didn't either. Yeah.
Do you regret not bidding more on Amon-Ra in your other Guillotine league? Because like 375
In my
seems
other
like
league, no.
Okay. Like,
No,
why?
I don't. To give you an idea of what my team looks like in that,
Okay.
I've got Anthony Richardson, Najee Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, Jahan Dotson, Christian Kirk, which stinker, Um, Rashad Bateman, Darius Slayton, and Travis Kelce. Right now, that's my starting lineup. But I had Romeo Dobbs in there for Darius Slayton. So, and last week I was number 7 in points scored, and that was with Jake Ferguson in instead of Travis Kelce. So, in my opinion, I think Travis Kelce plays this week. I don't see a world that he doesn't. Um, and so instead of paying too much fab to get a guy to come fill one of those other spots, which I would love him to fill one of those spots. I mean, I'd love Amon Ra instead of Rashad Bateman or Christian Kirk or Darius Slayton, whatever it is, right? Even Romeo Dobbs, like duh. Um, but instead of overpaying, now I just got Travis Kelce that I'm slotting in there, and I'm projected for like 107 points, which is the second most in that league. So I I I felt comfortable enough leading into it to go, okay, this is my set number, which was 238. Um, and I was just gonna like, all right, let's leave it at that. See what happens. If it happens, then great. If not, then cool. That means someone else is spending, close to 3 or 4, and then now I'm a leg up on them a little bit in the fab department. Maybe not in the total points. Um, Looking at hit that person's team though, I'm still projected more than them this week. So um, I feel okay that I didn't bid more in that scenario.
Okay. Yeah. I like it. I mean, you could get them cheaper next week. Who knows?
I guess I'm surprised that nobody else did. Like there must be some other weaker teams with bad receivers, or maybe a hurt receiver, like a cup team. I don't know. That I don't know. He looked really good in week 1.
Oh yeah, Diggs looked
Did
unstoppable.
when Josh Jacobs went for 701 in that league, um, which I thought was crazy. But
would
it's
you
a guy
rather
who's
have
a big Raiders fan.
like what do you
So
think's
like he's a
worse?
big Raiders fan and he needs that player. So
Raiders
go
homer.
ahead.
Would you rather have T.J. Hawkinson for 850 or Josh Jacobs for 701? Because I don't hate
100%
the
Josh Jacobs.
701.
100% I would have Josh Jacobs for 701
That's
over
for sure.
Hawkinson.
I mean,
I
lead
I don't
rusher.
trust. I just don't trust that Hawkinson is. He's yet to prove that he's the dude as far as um like the cap. His ceiling is not very high per game. He's very consistent. He's gonna get his 6 to 9 targets a game. He's gonna get his 40 to 50 yards, but like he he doesn't have that high end tight end ability. And even and like in comparison, Hawkinson to Josh Jacobs could go for 120 and 2. I don't see Hawkinson doing that. So I would much rather have
Last season he
that
did that
upside.
though.
Yeah, but it
Yeah, I know
it
what you
doesn't
mean though.
happen very often, and that
It's
ceiling's just not
yeah,
the ceiling's
it's
just
not
not there
consistent.
consistently as much as some of these other players that are available are. That I would rather put. I don't even know if all season I'll put 850 on a player. I don't know if there's anybody out there that I feel comfortable enough to put that much on there.
I have a little bit of a different philosophy in that I'm not really looking for ceilings. I'm looking for floors for surviving in a guillotine league. And I think that advantage at a tight end position where you're going to beat a lot of other teams at that's going to help you not be eliminated multiple weeks.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
that's a
that's where
that's a fair
yeah.
that's fair.
And that's something that
Yeah,
yeah,
and I
Fuzzy lives on, and he, Fuzzy in the Dynasty League kind of popped off having Kelsey, Mark Andrews, and I think Waller at one point. Yeah, it's just having that floor is amazing. Yeah, it's a great point. Um, And plus Hawkinson can pop off for like 20 points like any given week, especially with that Vikings offense. So I think having that boomer bust, situation in a guillotine league is huge. Like some weeks, especially later into the season. We'll see. Receipts are being collected.
Yes, they are. I'm all for it.
Oh yeah, baby. But no, I do respect the narwhal's takes on guillotine, and I think it's pretty dope that you put together a 18 team league for your other guillotine league.
Oh, and that other one, that wasn't even me that put that together. That was one of my buddies,
nice.
but yeah, and then
Cool.
Yeah, so yeah, we've been talking about it since like midway through the year last year about setting that up. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I had to pull up Hawkinson's stats really quick. In like PPR, half point PPR. Last year, even in PPR, he had 2 games over 20. And then in half point, he also had 2 games over 20. But one against the Seahawks and one against the Giants in week 17 or week 16. Other than that, he had 3 games over 10 points. So that's kind of what I guess I'm saying with Hawk is like he's gonna get his targets, but there's just that like 9 targets, 3 catches, 33 yards. 8 catches or 8 targets, 6 catches for 70 yards. Like it's the targets are there, the volume's going to be there, but just that upside on a week to week basis. He can pop off, but it's that week to week basis, I guess.
Yeah. I mean,
Anyway.
the tight end debate is it's kind of crazy. Like, I mean, that itself got him like number 3 tight end overall last season. So, we'll see how it we'll see how it plays out. But
was he on the Vikings all of last season, or when was he traded? Year before or last year?
No. He got traded last year. Yeah,
and the Vikings gave him a pretty huge contract, so he's locked and loaded.
Yeah, they're definitely bought in.
And he's young too.
Do you guys have any opinions on some of the other bids that went through? Hopkins for 306.
Yeah, that was a Berg one, right?
That one.
I got him for 40 more than the second highest. So
I put 277 on him.
I'm glad I got him because my team needs him. I'm hoping he just carries me in for another week or two, and I'll keep adding more players, try to survive.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I really don't.
Didn't he get like 13 targets? He got some crazy number.
Tannehill played terrible. There's a lot of weird week 1 stuff, and I think he'll turn it around.
If he has a target share, I mean, he could definitely do better next week, especially if he hits the end zone, the red zone.
When I first saw 300, I thought like, whoa, like, dang. But because of what your situation was, like, I understand over, just spending up to try to get that spot to. I mean, you need some guys, and I like the Kendrick Bourne one a lot. That's pretty cheap for a guy that's the number 1 on their team.
Yeah, he had like 11 targets. I'm just hoping he keeps that up, like, because he's been in the league for like 6 years. He's never been like a high target guy, but hey, he's doing it right now, so fingers crossed.
Right.
What about
jump on it, right?
Jonathan Taylor for 287? I won that.
I mean, that's a stash. I mean, he's out for a while, right?
Yeah, till week 4 at least. Week 5.
I feel like it's a steal if you last that long. Like if you last to week 5, like you'll have like an RB1.
I don't know if he'll play more than 1 week.
We'll see.
So in his contract, or like in the NFLPA the way that the contracts are built. Um, there's a lot of debate back and forth about like what's reality, um, but typically a player only has to play one game to be able to count it against their years accrued on their contract. And so realistically, Jonathan Taylor could play one game towards getting his next contract next year. So if you're his agent, if you're him, instead of going out and playing for a team you don't even want to play for, who doesn't want to pay you, you could show up for a game like week 5 or even wait even longer, play like week 17 or something, play one game and have that contract still go through.
What if he gets traded to the Ravens? What's your outlook then?
He could still get traded.
If he gets traded to the Ravens, I think that'd be that's way different of a scenario. I think that'd be fantastic for him. I think
because there's a world where he gets traded.
It'd be fantastic for him too, but there definitely is, and I think the Colts are dumb not to, but they have no leverage anymore, which is the brutal part, because they're gonna want to get value. They're not just gonna want to hand them off. But what team's really gonna pay up to get Jonathan Taylor at this point? Like I don't know. It's a weird situation.
Yeah. I mean, if the Ravens want to go on a playoff run, if they think they can, then just grab Jay Taylor. But...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Definitely.
We don't know what's going to happen, and I'm willing to take a shot on it. It's, 29% of my fab. Which, if you, I don't know, redraft, it's like,
it's just
$30. Jonathan Taylor's on the waiver wire.
I like it.
Definitely a steal if he does play, or if he gets traded to the Ravens. Like, it would be a steal for sure.
Yeah, I'm always down for the home run swing plays. So I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. And we got Dak Prescott for 111 next.
Yeah,
and Bobby didn't get him.
Oh, you got him, $100, huh?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
One thing, I don't know, like with the Guillotine, I feel like you need a second quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback, you're done. Any given week. I'm also stealing him from another team that needs a quarterback. When I have a low projected score this week.
Is that Bobby's team?
He put $30 on him.
Okay. And Bobby got Baker, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I probably, if I was in Bobby's shoes, I mean, he's the GOAT, he's the cat, but I probably would have.
The cat picked up Baker Mayfield, the real GOAT. $6.
That's true. Yeah. But I probably would have, bought up on Dak. I don't know why not. But, yeah. We shall see.
The one thing that scares me about Dak is that defense, though, being so dang good that he doesn't need to throw the ball.
Oh yeah.
They're not going to win 40-0 every week. They're not going to do what they did to the Giants every week. Like, obviously, it's NFL. It's just not reality. But there's definitely going to be games where they don't need Dak. They just don't need him to throw 40 times a game or 30 times a game. Like, and that'll kind of limit his upside a little bit. And I don't think he's going to run nearly as much as he has previously in his career, just with the injuries he's dealt with over the last few years. But looking at the waiver wire right now, there are no quarterbacks. So, I mean, picking them up's not a bad thing. Stash them, see what happens, and, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Rashee Rice, $74.
That was pretty high, I thought. Pretty high bid.
It, yeah.
I don't know.
I do like it. Like what he had, like 30% snap share, and he popped off.
And like none of the other receivers are doing anything. I feel like his route running and snap percentage will go up for sure.
Yeah, I think like the Chiefs are gonna bounce back. Like there's no way they don't after week 1 embarrassment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do like Rashee Rice quite a bit.
I was bid number 2. I put down 27, but I thought in the 70s was kind of high. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I agree. I think your bid was pretty good, Bird. I think like 20 to maybe even 40. 40 might even be a little too high, but I thought that'd be good. But I mean, like we said it at the beginning, like if you like your guy, you got to go get him. So Tim definitely did that. Went and got him, but I don't know if I love Rashee Rice. I think the talent's there, but you look at some of the drops and some of the inconsistent hands that he has. That's kind of concerning because Mahomes isn't going to just keep throwing to a guy that drops the ball a bunch, which, you know.
Yeah, and when Kelsey comes back, it's just kind of a lottery for which wide receiver he throws to, you know. That's kind of how it feels.
Yeah, it really is. A dart throw.
It's just Kelsey and then a random wide receiver.
Right. MVS.
It could be. What's his name? Whale Sterling?
Whale Sterling?
But
Up next, we got a winner for Berg. We got Justice Hill for 37.
Oh, I got Justice Hill? I forgot about that.
Yeah, $37.
I like it quite a bit. I've never been sold on Baltimore running backs, but
I was thinking he might be like a 1 or 2 week play while they don't have anybody. And if he can get another touchdown, like he got 2. I mean, it's Houston, but like if he gets another touchdown, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. I think he's been due for a good season for quite a while. Yeah, we'll see how they put Gus Edwards in there and all that.
I mean, I don't think Justice is a season-long play. I just got him because I think it might be a couple weeks. But we'll see.
Berg, I have to say, I'm liking your team makeup right now as I look at it. I just had to look at it because you had Justice Hill, and I was wondering if he was going to be in your starting lineup. And I don't know if I trust Justice Hill in my starting lineup after that. Because didn't he have like 8 yards but 2 touchdowns, something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, 8 attempts, 9 yards for 2 touchdowns. Like, doesn't instill a lot of confidence that he's going to be the guy moving forward. But
yeah, it's like I bid on him because I didn't know which players I was going to win, so I threw out some bids.
Exactly. Yep. You gotta test the waters, and I mean, Samaje I think looked good. Jamal Williams didn't look great, but had a lot of touches, so he's gonna get his. But I think you'll be all right this week.
I just think if Cooper Kupp played week 1, he would have had Puka had 15 targets. I think Cooper would have had those 15 targets, like crazy amount of yards. I'm hoping if I survive till week 5 and Cooper comes back, that'll be like a nice boost.
Yeah.
But week 5, I don't know if I'll make it that far. We'll see.
Yeah, I do love me some Puka. How many best ball Pukas do I have? Quite a bit.
Puka believer.
I kind of am. Yeah. Someone's got to catch the ball.
Pay it off. It wasn't
that offense.
It wasn't Van Jefferson.
Sad.
No, it was not.
I got Puka in the Guillotine League. I think he definitely saved me.
That was like Puka might be the biggest value of the draft this season, like across all leagues.
As of now, week 1, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Week 1 hype.
Berg, the other one you got was Kendrick Bourne for 29.
Yeah, I think he had like 11 targets. I think
2 touchdowns.
I think Devontae Parker was out, but I mean the 11 targets was pretty cool. And the Patriots offense looked pretty good. I mean, they were fighting against the Eagles.
Yeah, Mac Jones was definitely airing it out.
Yeah.
Wasn't he QB2 on the week? Something like Mac Jones was like way up there on.
He threw like 3 touchdowns, I think, so he was up there. Yeah.
Yeah. Seemed like the off-season news.
Crazy.
I don't know. Was not great for. I think Bill Belichick was not happy with Mac Jones most of the season, or off-season. Excuse me.
Yeah, he was QB2 on the week.
Wow.
Yeah, that's nuts. if you would have told me that before the week, like, are you kidding me? And
Right.
and you know, one of the touchdowns was what, to Hunter Henry. You know, like Hunter Henry popped off. Like it was a weird week.
Oh yeah. Yeah, week 1 is weird in general, but this week 1 was extra weird. It was giga weird.
Yeah. Any predictions?
I have to say the
Go ahead. Or
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, any predictions who gets eliminated next? Is it me? Is it someone else? Is it just
Probably Narwhals. No, I'm kidding. His team's looking
Get
good.
out of here.
Jeez.
Looks
I'll
like
have to look.
I can try to pull up the
Just
week
looking.
1 scores. Where does it show that?
I have the lowest
Yeah.
projections for week 2.
So like,
This is the lowest right now.
well, Kev was 18th. I was 17th.
But I haven't put Kelsey in my lineup yet either.
Yeah. And CNels was right next to me, and Kelp, they were pretty close, and Tim, they were points away. Week 1.
I'm safe bet Taylor probably. Love the dude, but oh my.
Yeah,
Lord.
Bryce Young as quarterback. That's pretty scary.
Yeah.
I mean, I had Josh Allen, or I had Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow had 3 points, so anything can happen. But I think the rookie QB more inconsistent. And he's got Kadarius Toney in his lineup right now.
Yeah, that's rough. I think
Did he
having
waive-
T Higgins
did he
in there is
waive
good
right
because he's not gonna have 0.
Yeah. He's got some stud receivers: Amon Ra, T Higgins, Michael Pittman, and his team has got some studs on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it
One
might be
thing
Kelp.
Kelp. Yeah. I would say that's my second pick. Always.
Or me.
But one thing I also wanted to bring up about the Guillotine before we move on. People that like were scoring like 60s and 50s last week and just squeaked by, like, I think you gotta make a move, but I don't know if I said that before, but oh man. Yeah, we'll see. I'll leave it at that.
If one thing goes against you, then you turn into Kev. It's very narrow margins.
Yeah.
Poor Kev. Got Sursed.
And Zane's on top.
Who do you think's least likely to get eliminated this week?
I'm gonna go Zach Daddy.
Oh, he's got the digs for $1,000. Yeah. Yeah, he's got Tyreek and Diggs now.
Nice. Last week. Like, I feel like Josh Allen is gonna bounce back. He was embarrassing last week. He's gonna come out and have like a 4 or 5 passing TD week. Probably most of them to Diggs.
Yeah, it could happen.
I don't know if that necessarily helps Diggs. I'm gonna be honest. I think when Josh Allen struggles, he throws so much more to Stephon Diggs. Like
Monday night.
All he did the whole second half was throw to Diggs. He wasn't going to Gabe Davis. He wasn't going to Kincaid. He wasn't really going anywhere else.
Yeah.
So
for sure, I feel like a vengeance game is coming though, like a comeback type game. Like, dude, he's been getting some heat right now. He's been getting heat.
That team scares me though. Having DeAndre Swift, I know Gainwell might not play, but having DeAndre Swift in there, that's scary. Michael Gallup, you just never know with that guy. And then Justin Fields as your starting quarterback. Like, gosh, that team looks so bad.
And Dalvin Cook against Dallas, and Dallas is looking dominant, right?
Yeah, I don't see the Jets really doing all that much offensively in that game. the Chicago offense looked terrible. There were wide receivers running the same routes. They were like blocking in line when they should have been blocking outside. Like it was a mess. And Fields obviously has the upside of rushing, but it doesn't really matter if they're going 3 and out every play, and if they're not scoring touchdowns. So I don't think that he's necessarily going to be cut this week, because he does have that upside of Diggs and Tyreek, but some of his other players on there are a little scary.
Yeah. Like week 2, in my opinion, is the worst week, because you get hyped about certain players week 1, and then you get let down week 2. I had such a good week 1 across all leagues. I fully expect to just be absolutely decimated next week. So we'll see. I think Josh Allen, Justin Fields, Mahomes, Burrow, all these players are just gonna absolutely pop off next week.
Yeah, hopefully.
Week 1 was a facade. Yeah.
Hopefully they bounce back. Also, Pinball has Kenneth Walker and DK Metcalf, 2 Seahawks. But I guess they have the Lions.
Playing the
this
Lions
week.
though.
Yeah, and they have the Hawks lost two offensive linemen. That might be rough. And the Lions are looking pretty fierce. They just took down the Chiefs, so
they look pretty good. And having Marquise Brown.
I'm gonna throw out my prediction right now. I'm predicting Pinball is gone this week. That's my prediction.
It's probably a pretty decent one looking at that lineup. Kirk Cousins against Philly in a primetime game.
Yeah.
He's facing some tough defenses.
Thursday night game, yeah. Short week.
Derrick Henry is his bright spot on his roster.
Yeah.
And Tyjae Spears out-snapped him this week. Tyjae Spears had more snaps than Derrick Henry did last week, and that's
strange.
I think concerning for Derrick Henry's upside.
Yeah. Shout out my dynasty team.
Yeah, right.
I don't know who has him.
I've got him on. I've got Derrick Henry on there.
Oh, I have Tajay. Yes, sir.
Who is it? I do, of course. Humble brag.
All right, well, it'll be
Oldest trick in the book.
It'll be another suspenseful.
Josh Kelly kind of looks good. Sorry.
Josh Kelly. Oh yeah. It'll be another suspenseful week. We'll see what happens.
Oh yeah. It is a super fun league. I'm glad we incorporated this league amongst the 12 others.
Oh yeah, that's a good ad.
In a long off season. Yeah, glad to have a fun week 1.
Yeah, it'll be intense every week.
Yeah, I mean, 13 teams still have over 90% of their fab, so only 4 of us have less than that. The team could definitely have 90% of their fab and be eliminated this week.
For sure.
And I need it in my position.
Do you guys want to go over any studs and duds, or I guess we kind of covered quite a bit already? Any fantasy players you want to talk about that popped off or pooped the bed?
I know I want to talk about Algier, because I think the fact that he outrushed Bijan was pretty shocking, I think, to most. But I also think that there's a reason for that. You don't want to bring a rookie running back in and smash him into the ground, his very first game in the NFL. Bijan's big, but he looks he doesn't look big on the field. He looks more shifty and kind of almost more of a Jahmyr Gibbs type, but he's more shifty, I think, than Jahmyr Gibbs is, where Jahmyr is more straight line. But I think Algier coming in, taking snaps, taking rushes, dude looked good. He looked good last year. Atlanta's going to pound the rock because that's just what they do. Arthur Smith is just notorious for it. He's done it even with Cordell or I can't never say his name, but with Patterson. Um, but I think Algier is a viable play for at least the first 4 or 5 weeks, um, until they really give the reins to Bijan. If they ever do, if Tyler Algier plays like he did last week, why would you not play both of them? An equal amount of snaps. So
Yeah,
Well, I think,
they're probably both starters all season long in
well,
fantasy.
yeah, I think I will say, like, I think one of the best starts of the week was in the Guillotine League, of course. Brooke started Algier as like one of his like top 2 RBs. Like that was a big brain play. But yeah, I agree. I'll also say that um that opening TD for Bijan was like one of the best I've ever seen for like a
that was
first
nasty.
TD.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He looks
makes
great.
one miss. Yeah, makes one miss, and then he like runs in between 2 tackles, gives one a lick, or sorry, not tackles, but players, gives one a lick, and then just runs into the end zone like easy, like
It's like him and Brees Hall. It's like, why aren't
absolutely
they
easy.
giving them the ball like every play?
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
Brees Hall's
Brees.
obviously
Yeah.
coming off an injury, but you know what I mean, like his skill level.
Yeah. Yeah. Brees was looking pretty fire.
I I I know that like he got caught because quote unquote he didn't have the gas, he doesn't have the legs yet. But dude, Garrett Wilson is celebrating at the 50-yard
I
line
saw
instead
that.
of getting his butt down there to block. If he makes that block,
Yeah, it's a house
he's
call.
gone. And no one's talking about Brees Hall doesn't have the legs yet because it's week 1 back from an injury. Like it. What are you doing with your hands up in the air, not doing anything blocking, Garrett Wilson? Come on now.
Yeah.
Especially when your star quarterback's already down, like you got to do everything you can to try to. I mean, they obviously won in the end, but it never should have got to that point with the way their defense was playing.
Yeah.
They easily
Well.
should have scored a touchdown on that play.
Yeah. Well. To you know, I'll add to that. Did you see like ETN like going downfield with Calvin Ridley and like making that block, trying to get a touchdown? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it, yeah. Don't quit on a play in the NFL. Um, so like one player I do want to bring up is Calvin Ridley, because oh my lord, that was something else. Like 4 catches in the first opening drive. I think it was 3 or 4. Dude just was godlike on the field. Um, Paired with Trevor Lawrence, I think that is a problem. Like Trevor Lawrence looked really good. Not gonna lie, the Jags are scary.
Yeah, I was a big believer in Ridley as well going into the year. It's nice to see him come out and pop off. It's kind of like people
Oh
forgot he was like a top 3 receiver kind of before he, I don't know, went through everything he went through.
yeah, and I mean I agree, and I also don't hate the he hasn't been in the league for 2 years. You know, that thing that it was a plunge to be on the Ridley bandwagon.
I was kind of
But
in that
yeah,
same boat too, but once I read his article, I was like, I'm a believer. I've been baptized. I'm never going back.
yeah. I mean, yeah, like just seeing someone like come back. He's definitely a comeback player of the year for me. I think he's definitely a front runner.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude looked like he's on a mission, but really could have gone either way. Yeah, but it's fun to see someone who Ridley didn't really do anything that wrong. There's a lot of players in the league that do really terrible stuff and like still play, but like really gambling, not a big deal in my opinion. Like He shouldn't have been punished that hard. It is what it is. But yeah, I'm definitely rooting for him, and dude had like mental issues before. That's why he stepped out. Then doing some gambling, but he's coming back with a purpose, I think. And then yeah, plus seeing like Trevor Lawrence just absolutely balling out was amazing to see. I'm a big Jags fan right now.
Yeah, I think your belief is paying off. And you got a nice trade for him in the dynasty. You made Kelp pay up, and then you're getting Trevor. So that was a nice end of it for you, I think.
Oh yeah, that trade too. Let's talk about that real quick. That trade was a year's worth of different
wow,
back and forths. But I finally got Kelp to budge.
Were you asking for something specific, and he didn't want to do it until he finally did, or what?
No, he would just come at me like once a week, let's say, with just different trades, and just like weird trades, like offering fourths, fifths, like for a one for one trade, which I'm not a huge fan of, like position wise.
The Kelp trades in your DMs can get real fatiguing. It's just like some low ball.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Yeah, it's definitely fatiguing. But yeah, finally getting T-Law, and like I don't know, T-Law looked amazing. But yeah, we'll see how it pans out. I got the Jag squad right now. Pretty happy about it.
Oh yeah, because you have ETN as well. Interesting.
Yeah, and he looked really nice. I think he was struggling a bit, then hit that like 20-yard rush, like kind of bounced out the outside, and yeah, got that like game-winning touchdown essentially.
Yeah. All right, I'll keep it moving. Do we want to talk about any of the injuries, or we kind of already covered that? The Dobbins, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh,
it's all brutal.
I think we covered that for the most part. Yeah, it sucks.
And Narwhals, are you in the keeper league that we're in? Or no?
No.
Okay.
No, he's not.
I'll skip over that. Do you guys want to talk about Marvin Harrison Jr.? I've seen some chatter in the chat.
Yeah.
So, this last week he was clocked at like 22.2 miles an hour or something like that on one of his touchdowns.
Oh, you saw that?
I think that would have been the fastest NFL player last year.
Faster than Tyreek.
And yep. So obviously the talent's there. Dude's a stud. I think I know what play it was when he was running that fast and he was wide open. I might have to eat my words next year when it comes down to it, when he actually gets in the league and does some things. I was a Marvin Harrison fan, Marvin Harrison Sr. Fan, but I get wary of overhyped. I don't know if I want to say overhyped. Hyped wide receivers early on in college. A lot of times they don't end up being the guy that everyone talks about them being. It just for whatever reason doesn't usually work out with wide receivers. I don't know
Booty's
why that
a recent
is.
one. Booty from LSU. Keyshawn Booty.
Yep.
He was like super highly touted freshman
Yep.
year. Like people thought, oh, junior year he's gonna be like top 10 pick. He got drafted in like the 6th round by the Patriots.
Right.
Kevin White.
I don't think I think the only thing slowing Marvin Harrison down from being a top 10 pick next year is an injury. I think he's like almost surefire going to be a top 10. But you think about Kevin White, dude had injuries and dealt with bad back and dealt with all sorts of things. A lot of these guys that are super talented come in the league, high expectations and don't live up to it. And I just don't anticipate that he's going to be able to live up to what the expectations are. Because people are talking about him being better than Justin Jefferson, one of the greatest wide receivers of all time. I mean, it's like, it's getting out of hand. And I think a lot of times when that happens, they crumble. Wide receivers crumble.
Sure. I don't know. I think that's kind of a high cliff to climb, but yeah, comparing him to Justin Jefferson when he hasn't even played a snap in the NFL. But I don't know. I think even if he got injured somehow, like, and look, depending on the injury, but let's just say he got injured in this college season and then we don't see him play at all this year. I think he would, assuming he's healthy going into the draft, I still think he'll be a top 10 NFL draft pick next year, just based on what scouts have seen and what we've seen him do so far. He's got the speed, he's got the athleticism, he's got the height and the physicality. He's almost unguardable when you watch him play. I mean, it's the college level, but um, I don't know. The college level has, I don't know, risen up quite a bit. The last, I don't know, like top 12 NFL picks that were wide receivers have been taken have been pretty successful right away, especially from Ohio State. Garrett Wilson and Olave.
Yeah. When was Devontae Smith drafted? Like, what pick?
He was drafted in, let's see, was it 2020? 2021, and he was the 10th overall pick.
Okay.
Waddle was the
Yeah.
6th overall pick that year. Chase the 5th overall pick.
Yeah.
I think lately, like, wide receivers have been hitting more, and teams have gotten better at identifying. At least the last few years since 2021.
I feel like, yeah, like people say it's a passing league, so I don't disagree that, yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably gonna be a 10th pick overall, or like whatever inside the 10, for that reason. But we'll see. I mean, the NFL changes frequently, so I don't know. I do agree with Narwhal's, like, yeah, sometimes like it's a little suspicious when these players are like touted so highly. I mean, yeah, it's hard to hit.
This is a player that's been raised by, like, a Hall of Famer, though. You should hear some of the or I've listened to some of the interviews with, like, his dad talking about him, and I don't know. It's different. I think
Yeah. Okay.
it's like a Ken Griffey Jr. kind of thing,
Ooh.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely think it's different. It's different than a lot of these other guys. Like Kevin White didn't have a Hall of Fame wide receiver growing him up, or raising him.
Yeah.
So it is going to be different as far as like the pressure and things like that. He's going to be he's going to have someone that's going to understand all that aspect of things. So
Yeah.
and it seems like he carries himself pretty well as far as media and the attention and all that. And Ohio State usually does a pretty good job about kind of protecting their players.
Yeah.
And
if he
great
can harness
examples
that
of
pressure,
previous
then
Ohio
yeah,
State players that have been playing well.
yeah, if he can harness that pressure and like carry it into the NFL, then he could be him.
It'll be interesting.
Let's
No.
talk Caleb Williams now. I know you had a few things about him as well.
Yeah,
Is it the USC stigma more so, or his attitude, or just the fact that quarterbacks are never a lock in the NFL? Because I think quarterback is definitely harder to lock down going into the NFL than wide receiver.
Yes, for sure. I think a lot of it's SC. I think a lot of it is his talent is there, but he reminds me of Kyler. He reminds me of like his attitude last year, putting I don't even remember what it was on his knuckles, but he had like
was like,
written stuff on Sharpie
fuck
on his
you,
knuckles.
something to the other team, basically.
Yeah, and it's like, and then he got whooped. It's like, I mean, come on, man. And I'm not sure if he is as bought in as some of the top or quarterbacks that end up succeeding are. I also just like the hype around him this year. I'm sitting there going, the dude doesn't even have top 10 yardage across the college football landscape. Like I think he's number 12 right now.
They're blowing people out though too. They take them out like in the third quarter.
Yeah, but like a lot of his plays and a lot of the things that everyone's like, oh, look at Caleb Williams. It's like, all right, well, the offensive line just blocked for 10 seconds, before he actually found a guy. So I don't know. I think Caleb Williams is good, but some of these people that are saying that he's like a generational talent and the best prospect since Andrew Luck or whatever, it's like, okay, do we not remember what Trevor Lawrence was a couple years ago in college? I mean, like, dude was amazing. He's a better prospect than what Caleb Williams is right now. And it took Trevor Lawrence 2 years to figure it out. So,
well, the first year was wasted by Urban Meyer, to be honest, right?
It was, and I don't downplay that at all, because Urban Meyer's a POS and all that. But if Caleb Williams goes to Arizona, you're playing with Jonathan Gannon. Like, the team around him sucks. Like, wherever he goes, whenever he gets drafted, he's gonna get drafted by a team that's not good.
What do you think about Caleb Williams, his dad, saying that if he doesn't like the team that's going to draft him, he's not going to declare?
I thought that was interesting, and it's kind of I really don't blame him, especially with the money you can make in college. Like, some of these guys are making more money in college than they would in their NFL contracts. Like, why would you not stay?
I mean, a lot of bad organizations ruin quarterbacks.
They do.
I mean,
that's
John
one of the
Elway,
things that I worry about with them. Huh?
Oh, worked with John Elway, didn't he? Like, refused to sign.
Oh, Bo Jackson. The Buccaneers were gonna sign him. He said, I'm not. If you guys draft me, I'm not gonna play for you. They drafted him. He didn't play. He went to play for the MLB instead, because he's a two sport athlete. One of the best of all time, probably the best of all time, really, Bo Jackson. And then he comes in the next year and joins the NFL and gets drafted by a different team. Pretty kind of funny, just like a waste of a draft pick, like 101. What a stud! I like it.
Yeah, I think I like the idea of him. I don't know if I love the idea of his dad coming out and saying it, but I do like the idea of potentially doing that. I think, like, hey, why not just keep that in house and make that decision later? You still got a whole season to play. Like, wait till after the season to talk about it. But he's not the one talking about it. It's his dad. So whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
probably more talk, just sort of like teams to like kind of respect them. I don't know. Start the conversation early.
The athlete dad's gonna be so annoying. Like, you have like Odell's mom or dad on media. Yeah, like the basketball player's dad's talking to me. And it's just like
Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, it's just like, oh my god, shut up.
Ball, anyway.
They're always like so annoying too.
Who do you think will get the 101 next year?
Oh, who do I think? Oh, jeez.
The Cardinals are on track,
Fuzzy.
right? Are you talking about NFL or?
I meant for the NFL.
I was thinking about the Cardinals.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Cards.
Yeah, say the Cardinals and Bears have good chances. Cardinals also own the Texans, one first pick. The Bears have their pick, and they have the Panthers' first pick.
Interesting.
And I mean, if the Bears are just awful, maybe they just move on from Fields. I've also thought it'd be kind of interesting if like a certain team in that position drafts Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. and they go to the same team. I don't know what the odds of that are, but
probably pretty high, to be honest.
Would it be a good? I guess you just kind of start off their
not?
Career like kind of like Marvin Harrison Sr. and Peyton Manning.
Well, and almost even more recent with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, like.
Yeah.
And I mean, a little bit of a different level at T. Higgins. I mean, T. Higgins and Joe Burrow before that, like, you're kind of building around that type of offense. I would say the way that the Bengals are constructed right now and the struggles that they've had with their O-line, that you could see teams around the NFL not wanting to do that and build that way. Just kind of have to build inside out, and it's being lost a little bit. I think with all this, high-powered offenses coming out of college and high-powered offenses in the NFL. Like, I think some teams are getting lost in the sauce and forgetting about how important the D line and O line are.
For sure. I actually gotta head out here, guys. So you guys can just keep moving on without me.
All right, we can
See you
we
later.
can probably wrap it up. See you, Jay.
Yeah.
Maybe some final thoughts on the Seahawks. How are you feeling about the Seahawks, Narwhals?
Oh man, I don't want to overreact to week one, and that's kind of where I'm at. It was ugly, and I think the Hawks know it was ugly, and I think that they're going to come back out and play well. I think they drew a tougher opponent than what maybe was thought in the offseason with the way that Detroit played against KC, and having that extra couple days rest is huge for them. Losing both your tackles for the Hawks is huge. Abe Lucas on the IR now. Bringing in a 41-year-old Jason Peters. It doesn't look good. Optics aren't great. Geno didn't look great in the second. I mean, obviously the second half was brutal. Even the first half, I don't know if Geno necessarily looked all that great, even though we had the lead. But the dynamics for that defense could definitely change significantly if Jamal Adams comes back. I know Pete Carroll said today that Devin Witherspoon's going to play this week.
Hopefully that helps a lot.
It could definitely change up a little bit, but
yeah.
But then again, part of the issue is the D line. It's not necessarily the secondary.
Yeah.
If
there's no pressure at all.
There.
Yeah. Stafford had all
but
today.
I will say
he was just cooking us.
he was doing that, but he also was getting the ball out really quick. And like if you look at his like passing chart, like most of his throws were to the middle of the field and basically like 5 to 10 yards.
Yeah.
And that's a little concerning with some of the issues that Bobby had, a couple years ago.
He's losing his speed
before he left to go to the Rams.
Yeah, he's not very fast.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of an issue. I trust that Bobby's going to get it fixed and that the defense will get it fixed in that aspect. But yeah, things are going to have to change pretty significantly for the confidence start coming back up and feeling good. But I don't think that they go out and lose to Detroit the same way that they just lost to the Rams, though. If they lose, it's going to be a close game.
Yeah.
So
hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, just worried about the line now. Offensive line and defensive line both not great. So.
Right.
It sucks.
Yep. Yeah.
The interior is brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. John put it very nicely. Yeah, just it's a wake-up call. Figure it out. Adapt. Like sometimes, you need that kick in the arse every now and again. So, yeah, we'll see how the team adapts.
A week one wake up call. It's kind of like, well, the season just started. You had all off season to prepare, but here's your week one wake up call. Yeah.
No, I just always remember like the Patriots. What was it, like a few years back? They got destroyed at home week one, and then came back, won the Super Bowl. Gotcha. So yeah, they just need maybe the Seahawks need a little kick in the arse.
Yeah, they were feeling too cocky with all their young talent.
It is a little concerning that a lot of the talk this week, I know Geno said it at one point, but the fact that it was basically like they outworked us.
Yeah, they wanted
that's
more.
A problem.
It's like what? Especially from a Pete Carroll team where it's like compete, like, try hard. It's like, what's going on?
Yep, it's
why aren't we out there doing that? So
how do they say chalkboard material? Like, I don't know. That's the mindset I hope they have. Not gonna say they're gonna have it, but that's what I want them to have. You know, we'll see. Plus, like losing to the Rams, it's just inevitable.
Oh, and not just losing. We got destroyed by the Rams. It wasn't even close.
Yeah. I mean, that might fuel the fire, but for the rest of the season. But yeah, I mean,
it was deflating.
Yeah. Yep. Also, I'm worried. I'm a little worried, but I'm hopeful. We'll say I'm hopeful.
I like it.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm sure the best is yet to come. That was a bad start.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure,
yeah. Should we wrap things up? Do you guys have any final thoughts on anything?
Yeah, don't spend 850 fab on a tight end.
Okay. Yep. I'm not gonna comment on that until let's just say that's another receipt.
It's bait.
But all right. Yep. I'm out.
All right. Talk to you later. See you guys. It was fun.
Yeah, see ya. Thanks, Berg.